If you see in general, AI has started to live in our day-to-day life a lot more than what we see in the corporate world. And the corporate world right now is playing a catch-up with our personal life. If you talk to anyone, my mom, my sister, any friend, they talk to any AI, generative AI engine like ChatGPT or Gemini, wherever they use. They chat almost daily, 2, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times a day. I can ask AI what are the ingredients that I have. It will give me an amazing recipe. If I even for my medical, I can ask questions about that you cannot ask openly to the doctor because it's hard to get to them. You ask questions to AI and it gives you a directionally good answer. The way I compare it is when Excel was created, I don't know how many years ago. Now it's in the day-to-day life of everyone, and you use Excel in and out as a productivity tool. Nobody's tracking what the value of Excel is. It's just taken for granted.
You're listening to Data Analytics Chat, where data meets career.
Welcome to Data Analytics Chat, the show where the world's leading data and AI professionals share the decisions, lessons, and breakthroughs that shape their careers. Today, I'm joined by Carlos Pineda, Head of Data Analytics at Diageo, a leading manufacturing company. In today's conversation, explore Carlos's career, his journey, the leadership lessons learned, and most importantly, we'll discuss the reality of AI today, where it delivers value and where it doesn't. Carlos, great to have you here.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you, Ben, for the invite.
No problem. So, Carlos, I guess before we dive in, could you share the listeners a quick introduction to who you are and the work you're leading today?
Yeah, sure. I'm Carlos Pineda. I'm originally from Venezuela, but have been living in the US, particularly in New York, for the last 7 years. I'm the head of data analytics and insight for Diageo North America specifically, but also have a role in the global markets to ensure we have a consistent strategy and a consistent delivery of our data analytics and insight strategy across the globe. My role is really sits in the intersection between the business strategy, the business process, the business value, and the technology and how we deliver data and analytics, not only for the sake of delivering technology, but also on how do we transform the business to deliver value.
Brilliant. So a lot has changed even in the last couple of years. So I guess then, looking back in your career, what was the decision that most accelerated your career?
Yeah, I have been working for the last 25 years already. But if you ask me what has been the decision that has made the biggest difference in accelerating my career, I will mention two. One, it has been like most of the role I have taken didn't exist before. So I have been shaping my career by creating the opportunities that really will deliver my growth and creating those roles for me, rather than waiting for a role to exist and go after it. The second one I have had the opportunity to live in 5 different countries and transfer from Latin America, where I originally started my career, to Asia Pacific, then Eastern Europe, Latin America back, and now North America. So it has been that multicultural experience have also been a key factor. Probably a third one that I would like to mention, Ben, has been around shaping my career on doing different things across the digital transformation. I have done SAP implementation in the back office, supply, finance, but also have done a head of technology in a specific market, in a specific region. And in the last 7 to 10 years, more focused on the data analytics space. So shaping my career holistically has been also key for accelerating my career growth.
So you worked in many different obviously in tech, but I guess different areas, which is probably, it helps you become more well-rounded, would you say?
Definitely.
And has it been anything that's held you back, do you feel, looking back now?
That again?
Has there been anything in your career where you've held yourself back? Are you quite risk adverse?
I would say, like many times we believe our career is all about we delivering and being the smartest person in the room and delivering the final outcome of the work that we are doing. Probably one of the things has been on creating a stronger relationship in all this while you are delivering the outcome. I would say that's something that I have learned across the years on how important it is to build a strong relationships at the same time that you are delivering outcomes.
Interesting. Then, was it everyone's got a battle story. What's been the toughest leadership challenge? What data didn't give you an answer where you've had to use?
In general, for me, it's the importance of the business acumen and how do you drive transformation from the business processes and from the business understanding of how it works. Sometimes we jump into data or in technology in general just for the sake of delivering data and delivering technology versus really understanding what are we wanting to achieve as a business, right? As what is going to make the biggest difference for the people driving the decision making. And that's not a data question, right? That's a more human factor question and real understanding of the business where we are operating.
And in what belief about leadership did you have early in your career, which you later realised was wrong?
It is probably what I mentioned before. It is all about delivering outcomes and delivering results, and sometimes like creating a strong relationship, connecting deeply with the business where you are operating is very important, or equally or even more important. And I think that really makes a difference when you really understand your business, when you have a strong relationship with our stakeholders, and you are able to deliver a transformation, like an end-to-end transformation, not only like data analytics or technology in general, digital transformation, but really impacting your processes, your people, the culture. That is where you are making a difference.
Yeah. So there's a lot of just, I guess, the stakeholder engagement element there then is the key for you.
It's a stakeholder engagement, but also that business acumen. That's really understanding of how the business operates, what is the outcome that you want to achieve, and really what is the key question that you are trying to answer versus just trying to jump to solve the problem directly.
Yeah. And I think now with the way data's going, it's getting even more domain focused, in my opinion. If you've obviously the tools there, technology there can do the heavy lifting. I think if you can know the business acumen side of that, whether it's the industry, you're going to stand out in this field now because you'll be able to make better decisions and help the team members a lot better.
Yeah, I think that's a spot on. And we're going to see more and more that there is a lot of eager to go after AI and how do we implement AI in our businesses. If you see in general, AI has started to live in our day-to-day life a lot more than what we see in the corporate world. And the corporate world right now is playing a catch-up with our personal life. If you talk to anyone, my mom, my sister, any friend, they talk to any AI, generative AI engine like ChatGPT or Gemini, wherever they use. They chat almost daily, 2, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times a day. Well, in the corporate world, we are still figuring out what is the best way to leverage the power of AI.
Yeah. Yes. A lot of businesses are still, it's a lot to learn, isn't there? There's a lot of impact, especially if businesses want to become more data driven. It's completely transforming a business, isn't it? Basically.
It is. And that's where this piece of the human element and the clarity on the business outcome that you are trying to achieve start becoming critical. You need to be laser focused on what you want to achieve, because if not, it becomes too big and then you drown on trying to, like, a good example is this AI data ready terminology that people are using a lot these days. If you try to make it AI ready generically, it's going to be very hard to do it, right? You need ready for anything is very hard to achieve right now. If you want to have it ready for a specific use case, for a specific technology, then that's more focused kind of work. And then you can deliver significant more value.
But if you could give one piece of career advice to a data professional who wants to lead, what would it be?
I think understand your business, understand where the business outcome, understand the processes, understand the human element of that process where that you want to transform, and then partner with the market. It is not a technology or data work. It's really like a business transformation, what you want to drive to really deliver the value.
And also, you mentioned you've worked in multiple countries. How did you go? Because obviously, every country's got a different way, different culture. How did you go about learning the business from that point of view?
He's talking to people, and it connects with what I was mentioning on relationships. Right? If you are working in a commercial team, for example, going out with a sales rep to understand what is their day to day, where are their pain points, it's very important. If you are working with the finance team, sitting with them and understanding what they want to achieve, how their day to day look is also very important. Same for marketing, understanding where your priority brands, how do you learn about the consumer, how do you segment your market. So those conversations, those relationships is what is gonna make the difference. So you really can address that human element of the problem solving.
Yeah. No, I think it's when you hear like business leaders where they spend time in a certain division to understand the problems, and because that's going to get so much value. You see it from their point of view. Obviously, when you're in leadership, your responsibility is different to being like in the field, isn't it? So you need to understand the pains they're going through, and then you can be able to. You've got more clarification of what to do and how to make impacts.
Correct. Yeah, that's key at this moment. Especially with all this, I think, hunger, or we are having a lot of strong sponsorship from senior executive to drive AI, but people are looking at it like as easy as AI is in our day to day, right? As you chat with ChatGPT or as you talk to Gemini. But when you are in the business reality is completely different, and then you need to guide them to understand the complexity, the risk, and then how to make it happen in an optimal way.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yes, yeah, I think it's fascinating to see that business and technology are getting closer together, aren't they? Like before, they were further at what field. Now, obviously, I think because now everything's like blended in together now. I think you need to be knowing like what is finance doing. Finance needs to know a bit more about tech. It's knowledge is getting more embedded across the company, isn't it?
It is. It is amazing how the youngest professionals are more and more tech savvy. So technology, like pure technology work, start being more accessible for everyone. So it is that where we as data analytics experts or professionals, we need to have to bring that bridge between what is the business and the technology. And we having a strong knowledge of the technology, then we need to create that strong knowledge of the business as well.
Just move into the data topic. So we're going to look at the reality of AI today and where the value is. So there's a lot of talk with generative AI, and obviously where is generative AI improving outcomes today, and where do you see organisations forcing it where I guess traditional AI already works better?
I think that's, for me, is one of the critical items, man, is like really being able to understand where the right use case is a traditional AI, when it's a generative AI, and when it's an agentic AI, right? In many organizations or many people that you talk to, they see it like as a progressive thing. Like traditional AI is the lowest level, then you do Gen AI, and then the highest level is agentic AI today, and probably it's going to evolve, and soon we're going to be hearing about a new terminology. But I don't think that there are simply different ways to approach the problem. There are many problems that are still the right way to address them is, traditional AI. For example, forecasting. These kind of things are very straightforward with traditional AI. If AI is driving a lot of value on chatbots, or where you have interaction with your consumers or interaction with customer service, that's where we are seeing a lot of generative AI, very good examples. And then driving productivity in general. Nowadays, before you wanted to summarize a meeting or to prepare a very important document, you probably will take many hours trying to create that document. Nowadays, with generative AI, your day-to-day life is a lot simpler, right? You are more productive. Agentic AI, again, is like very repetitive tasks, automating workflows, this kind of a space. So finding the right use case or the right solution for the right use case is starting to be like an art and a science at the moment, because that's really represent a big difference.
I bet you hear like, more impact has been on around like, or getting more value from like the customer service type activities at the minute. I've been hearing from a lot of firms. Would you say that's same?
Yeah, definitely. That's where the value is being captured today. I would say the dream of generative AI is what everyone talk about, chatting with the data. People want to chat with their company data and ask them questions. What is the product that has more opportunity? How can I drive growth for a specific category? This kind of question that will be great to ask to generative AI and get the answers. But that's where the biggest challenge is, to make it in a safe and compliance way without taking significant amount of risk.
So been many like AI use cases that sound really impressive in boardrooms, but then quietly fail to deliver value.
Yeah, I can tell you a couple in this term of chatting with the data. We have experience having a strong data foundation in the commercial space. But then when you connect any technology that we have tried to chat with the data, you start seeing the challenges of how can you connect all the data that you have available and really have a very good experience from the user perspective, that they can ask any kind of question and get accurate answers. We have done some pilots and proof of concept that really haven't worked because of, you can call it data readiness, but in reality, it's the amount of data and connection of data that you need to have in place to be able to satisfy a user that in their day-to-day life, they are using the ChatGPT and any other tool like frequently. Very hard at the moment.
Definitely, it's a lot, especially now. Obviously, companies had a lot of data anyway, but now, obviously, with I guess the last couple of years, the LLM boom, it's companies have got so much more data, haven't they?
Yep, and the interconnectivity of the data across functions, right? Like you want to know, you have the full spectrum. You want your finance data to connect with your commercial data, with your supply data, so you can make more holistic decision making, right? So you traditionally would have been doing very good job on by function, creating the right set of foundation. But then when you start connecting the data across different functions and having real cross-functional view of your data, or even a consumer-centric view of the data, that started being the challenge on being able to answer the question in an end-to-end manner.
Yeah, no, I think we're a bit. Obviously, so many tools out there. This is where, like we mentioned before, like the business domain, and I think more like your strategy, how you can integrate all the data into your AI. That's where you're going to get the value. But obviously, it's a challenge, isn't it, for businesses? And this is where it's not the heavy thinking now. It's the brains. You need to get that aligned, and then that's where you're going to add so much value if you get it right.
Yeah, and one of the key for me there, Ben, is how do you have a clear vision? Like is you building a house, or you have the full view of how your house will look like, but then you start building it by pieces in a consistent manner, right? You cannot build a house from nobody will live here for 10 years because we are building the foundation. So it's something like that. You need to start delivering pieces by pieces, but they all need to integrate at the end. And I think that's the challenge for us, is like to really have that strong vision that it's going to be evolving, because technology and solutions are evolving very rapidly. But having that clear vision and then doing it in an iterative way with short deliverables, in a way that our sponsors, the business, are seeing value consistently. Every 3 months, you're delivering something that really make a difference, and then you expand it. And then eventually we're going to have the full house, the whole neighborhood available for a lot of people to live. But it will take time, and we need to recognize that it will take time, consistency, but also continuous delivery for the stakeholder don't get tired of waiting.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, is key. I think obviously going back to your house, obviously it's like companies have already got the house built, but then they've got to rebuild it and put AI into it. So it's obviously it's unraveling it, isn't it, and then building it again. But it's going to be a challenge. It's just like easy, like evolving the business into AI now, isn't it?
Yeah. And again, what I mentioned at the beginning, Ben, is it's not only a technology challenge, it's not only a data analytics challenge. We need to consider it as a human transformation challenge, and we need to consider all the elements that are around it. So you're going to implement a new use case, you need to review what is your new process, how the new process looks like, how that what they call user-centric process, right? Like data-centric process, like how the data is in the center of the decision making and the process that you are running. But then also you need to evolve, what we used to call data literacy was more about training people about data, but now it's more like around data culture, how the data first culture is embedded in the people that are working with data. So it is really like a deep transformation that includes what change management practices, technology practices, data analytics practices. So we need to consider that as a business transformation and not as a technology implementation or a data analytics piece of work.
Yeah, this is obviously you've got a strong background in transformations, and obviously, like even compared to an SAP one, it's across the whole business's transformation, like you said, and it's like you said, you got to deal with obviously change of tools, you got the people, you got the culture, the new way of working, isn't it? Everything's getting changed, and it's a slow process. So you need to do it efficiently and effectively, but it's going to be a slow burner because obviously people will take time to adapt as well.
Yeah, it's completely different. When you implement SAP, people don't have any alternative to do their work, right? They need to use SAP. It is not, I can use it or I cannot use it. If you want to create a sales order, you need to go to SAP and create it. If you want to close a book, a financial book, you need to go to SAP. So it's really not, you don't need to convince people of why is it better to use SAP or not. It is part of the day-to-day. There are elements that you review the processes and you drive transformation, but you don't need to impact their culture. Now, when we're talking about data analytics, it's really a cultural shift, right? Like not in vain, we're seeing that there is a new revolution that is the AI revolution. People, the way people learn, the way people access data, the way people operate in the day-to-day is changing dramatically with all this, with all the new technology.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So when leaders say we need to do something with AI, what's usually missing from the conversation? And I guess what would be the first question they should be asking instead?
I think the first one is, in reality, what is my priority to solve? What are the key, how do we split it in a very targeted use case that you can drive value immediately? We cannot do AI as I mentioned before, for the sake of AI, but we cannot create AI data ready, just ready to whatever you need. That is going to be a challenge that you're going to get into and then you will never get out. I think that's, for me, is the critical part, to have clarity of where is the biggest value when you can deliver value in the short term and demonstrate so you can gain momentum to continue evolving.
I've got to see, just jumping in, right? Why do you think so many people get this wrong? Because I've asked the amount of people I've spoken to, and they have clients they want to implement Gen AI, and then like they'll say, "What's the use case?" and they just want it. Do you think it's just everyone's been sucked into the tool, or because a lot of people just, like you say, you need a business outcome. It's expensive to implement if you want to get the right return. So where do you think many people go wrong with this? Is it just they've been sucked in, or?
I think there are several factors. I think the hype of AI has made people to jump into it without really knowing what it is. I can tell you 3 years ago, you attend to data analytics conference and everyone was showcasing proof of concepts and how everyone is trying generative AI. 3 years after you're attending this same conference and you are hearing the people acknowledging it's not that easy. It takes time, it's expensive. So you need to be targeted. That's one thing. I think the hype has made many people to jump to pioneer on this, and that's what it takes, right? The second factor that I will call out goes around. Let me think on how to position it in a way. I think it is the fact that in our day-to-day so simple, you feel like anyone, and I mentioned that before, everyone is using AI in their day-to-day life to have if I want to cook tonight, I can ask AI what are the ingredients that I have. It will give me an amazing recipe. If I, even for my medical, I can ask questions about that you cannot ask openly to the doctor because it's hard to get to them. You ask questions to AI and it gives you a directionally good answer. So it feels simple in our day-to-day life. So why shouldn't it be as simple as it is in our business, right? In our corporate world? I think those two factors are making life harder for everyone.
Yeah, I think obviously now it's been around a couple of years. I think people expect that like impact straight away now, don't they?
Yeah, because it's easy. In our
Yes.
day-to-day life, it's very easy. Nobody saw how many years I know probably was behind ChatGPT to be ready. Even if you ask me now, since when that has been in development, I don't know. But I just know that it's very easy to use.
And then, so what should the first question like a leader come to you to ask then? Is it how can we solve it, or what would be the sort of ideal first question from you, and also for people that are obviously looking to implement AI, what should be the sort of starting process for this?
In a particular case, we have many years of having a clear strategy, and our stakeholders are very well educated about the importance of having the strong foundation to do any AI, right? And I think that has been a critical piece of our work to deliver that consistency. Like having AI without the right foundation is not going to deliver value. But at the same time, it's also what I've been mentioning all over it. You cannot do foundation ready for everything. So having that laid out to say, okay, what is the use case that we want to go after? Then what is the foundation that we need to deliver that use case? And what are the processes impacted? Who are the people? Who are the user persona? Again, having that complete view before starting any work, for me, is critical. It's critical for success.
Okay. Yeah, no, I completely agree. So what AI workflows are materially...
Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, I think having the conversation is what is important. What is a critical factor with our stakeholder, our executives, is if you take the time to explain and for them to understand that it takes when to be done to really deliver value of AI, they will understand. The problem is when we say just yes and jump into the work. Yeah, that is a recipe for failure.
Yeah, I think the knowledge transfer is obviously key, isn't it? There, because you got business. Obviously, they'll understand the business problems, but obviously, as a techie, you need to where your storytelling and capabilities come in and able to articulate the tech terms in a business focus makes it a lot easier.
Definitely, that's important because talking about LM models and architecture and all that will not make it happen. So we need to find the skills and as you mentioned, storytelling, connecting the dots between business outcome and technology, and using day-to-day terminology for us to explain the work need to be done.
Yeah, if you're speaking too techy, you're going to lose them. So go back to the next question then. What AI workflows are materially faster or more scalable today because of generative AI? And do you have an example?
For particularly in generative AI, in my world, I will tell you like the day-to-day kind of tasks like emailing and creating documents and like summarizing meetings. I think that's where we're seeing significant amount of value. There are a lot of use cases in that and people are using it. The way I compare it is when Excel was created, I don't know how many years ago, now it's in the day-to-day life of everyone, and you use Excel in and out as a productivity tool. Nobody's tracking what the value of Excel is. It's just taken for granted. I think that's where we're going to get with the generative AI tools that like Copilot, ChatGPT, or Gemini, or any other available there.
Yep, no, definitely.
But still, what we're all looking is what are that big use case that will make a difference. And so far, be transparent, there is a clear one that I can call out as a huge success.
Yeah, now a lot of people do say it's more of like the operational side of things is where it's making big businesses life a lot easier. I mean, it's also, I think it's also to, like you said, it's people expect fast things, but obviously it's still relatively new, isn't it? So it's still like baby, still learning. Businesses have got to adapt, change, and obviously have a strategy in place to make that impact. Like you said, be that where do they want to go, forward think, and then obviously then you work back, don't you? Then you got to make the changes gradually.
Correct. And I think that experimenting is important. That's where you're going to unleash the value eventually. Is the more you experiment, the more you learn, the more that you can adapt the solutioning. And then I'm sure we're going to get there where we're going to see a generative AI use case bringing value, but it takes for people to experiment. And what we were discussing before, day-to-day users are more and more tech savvy, and we're going to see a lot more innovation coming in those spaces. And yeah, we're going to see it happen very sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what's the real cost financially or organizationally of deploying AI that isn't embedded into the day-to-day decision-making?
I think that it is still to be seen. When we implement these pilots and these proof of concept, you quickly see cost scaling very fast. So determining the real cost of implementing AI in our organizations is not clear yet. In many cases, you discover as you do the use case or the pilot. What I can tell you is that the cost of not doing is really like you're going to be staying behind, and then you're going to probably do competitive advantage in your business. So being there, being open to experiment, to kill pilots when they don't work very quickly, and to start a new one is going to be critical.
Yeah, to get up and running and to make headways, you're not doing it. You're just going to fall behind because, like I said, impact will be made. It's just, again, it's adapting and transforming your business just takes time, and it's a learning process.
Yeah. And what is critical is to have that process where you capture what are those proof of concept that are delivering value, which one do you want to scale to a pilot, to a full scale, which one do you want to kill early, because if not, you end up having what many call the proof of concept graveyard of a lot of proof of concept is still running there, people like nobody using it. So having that governance on what goes ahead, what needs to be killed, what needs to scale is going to be very important to keep this thing agile and delivering value.
That's also where that's where you make your money. You'll make these important decisions.
Exactly.
So then if the CEO asked you for just 3 questions to evaluate like any AI initiative, what would they be and which one is most often ignored?
What is the business value? I think is the key one that I will call. Like how we're going to track success of this, right? Sometimes we don't define that at the beginning, and then we end up in a trap of feelings over facts. That is one of the key items. The second one is what I have been mentioning several times, is the end-to-end transformation. Where are the processes? Who are the people that are going to be impacted, and what need to change? Probably the third one is about governance. Is our data well governed for us to be able to make that use case a success or not? Because that could be a key for a success or not.
And is it like questions that executives rarely ask about AI, but should?
Can you repeat that question, Ben? Sorry.
Is there like specific questions where executives rarely ask about AI, but like absolutely should?
Nothing comes to my head at the moment in that space.
Not a problem. Okay, Carlos, thank you for joining us. It's a great conversation today. Really appreciate your time.
No, thank you, Ben, for having me, and great to have this conversation with you.
Brilliant. Cool. And thanks to everyone for listening today. And I guess we'll see you in the next episode.
You've been listening to Data Analytics Chat Podcast. Subscribe to our channel for more stories and insights in data and career.